All right, we have another Meet the Promoter quick cast. Now we are going to introduce Bonnie Lefrak of the Fitness Asylum. She is a new promoter to the ANBF, but not a new promoter in general. So we'll go over that. But first, before we get into our main talking points, I wanted to allow Bonnie to introduce herself and tell everyone a little bit about herself.
Awesome. Hi, Ryan. Hi,
Yep.
everyone. My name's Bonnie, obviously. I fell into bodybuilding over 20 years ago. And, you know, I was probably like a lot of women where, start to work out, start to look a little bit better, and kind of, you read Oxygen magazine enough and you think, wow, if I could only diet like that, right? So, long story short, I ended up um, finding a trainer in my local gym, and they suggested, hey, have you ever thought about, bodybuilding? And I said, oh, oh, you mean like the heels and all of that? They're like, yeah, no, not you. I was like, okay, so you mean that, but without the heels, the sparkly heels. At the time in, 2004, 2005, there was really bodybuilding and there was figure, which was, probably what like bikini looks like now. So long story short, I entered a bodybuilding show having never seen one, never been to one, had no idea what to expect, and became, of course, instantly hooked. Just, I fell in love with just the transformation of it all, how you could decide that you were going to do something, even if you'd never done it before, you had no idea what you were doing, you didn't know what it was going to look like at the end. And so um, I had just kind of bounced around to a couple different shows. And I remember my trainer saying, hey, well, we'll do this small show first, and then, you'll see if you're ready for this big show. There's this really big show. It's like the biggest show in New England. It's the Nancy Andrews Northeast Classic, right? So it was sort of like, well, we'll see how you do. Like, we got to prepare you for this big show, this big thing. It's like the hugest. I was like, okay. So I went and I did a smaller show. I don't need to say the Federation, but it was not at the time an INBF show. And I remember my second show, the big show, this whole Nancy Andrews, like larger than life. I don't even know who this woman is. And I go and do the show. And I remember being backstage and I was like, ooh, I'm definitely, I was like, I'm definitely not in Kansas anymore. And long story short, I met Nancy Andrews. I mean, my life, to be honest, where I am right now, the owner of the fitness asylum with 4 locations, the life I have in many ways was set on a path for whatever reason, me deciding that, you know what, I like working out. I want to see if I could actually ever get on stage and be like the women in Oxygen magazine. So I'm just going to do it because I'm known to do crazy shit that nobody else is doing and people think you're insane. And I like, that's kind of my bag. And I'm very good doing things, you know, blinders on, head down, just by myself. I can do it. And the fact that 20 years ago, I ended up at a show, the big show in New England that I'd never heard of. And it was like this magical, mythical place. And I got to meet the promoter and we became friends. And I mean, I don't even, you know what? We became friends probably after she became more of a mentor, somebody who saw something in me and, pushed me along to, hey, why don't you do some personal training over here? Why don't you, get those clients to do this? Like literally like had a lot of ideas and, and I executed those ideas. And, looking back over it all, the idea for, me to train, bodybuilders probably came from my, love and success of competing in her show. But long story short, and this is probably the biggest intro that you were not expecting, 11 years ago, once I had established the fitness asylum and I was talking to Nancy, I talk to Nancy all the time, I'm on a walk, I'm outside, I'm just talking on the phone, shooting the shit, not thinking I have a great big idea or she has an idea or we're having a business meeting. We're just whatever talking. And I just said, my clients came to me and they were looking for some other thing to do, some other big challenge, some next level transformation. And I was kind of thinking, I wonder if I should do contest prep with them. And I kind of was like, I don't think I should do contest prep with a large group. And she said, I could just give them a spot. Like they could have we could do a transformation at my show,
And that's where it
the
started.
Northeast Classic. And I was like, okay. And that literally, like, and it's just so funny to think about, where I am today is largely in part just accidentally deciding to do a bodybuilding show and accidentally or by chance, becoming friendly with the promoter. And here we are 20 years later, um, not just having the fitness asylum, but having a very large competitive competition team across all four categories that kind of started with just people who wanted a transformation. They never imagined that they would necessarily go further. And so I have the gym business, the brick and mortar, like what you expect, a small studio with equipment. And then I have obviously these transformation programs. The bikini one is one of them, but it is definitely the one that has obviously brought you and I together
Yeah.
for our love of natural bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So now the interview can end. I'm just kidding. It's all
Well,
over.
the thing that's amazing about that is how everything did come full circle. So your life and your trajectory changed by going to the Northeast Classic. And I always say, I've said it a lot. My life changed too by because I was just dominating in New York. We did two shows a year, the Hercules, we did the Natural Mania, and once in a while we did the Long Island Experience. And then I got a pro and I was like, well, I gotta do a pro show. Oh my God, I gotta travel out of New York. I gotta go to Massachusetts. Ugh, I know nothing about Massachusetts. I definitely don't want to be there. Go to the first Northeast Classic 2013, and that changed my life. Went there, had a good time, met Nancy, bumped into inadvertently a very, very good competitor. We started talking, Heather Drake. She became my client. We won a world title. People loved her and became obsessed with her. One of the people who loved her and became obsessed with her was this girl, Nora Connolly, who then lived in New York, joined my team. Okay. Because she joined my team, she talked to her friend. Oh, you got to come to this team. This guy's awesome. That friend, Shauna Kohler. My whole life changed because of that show. And that show is now mine. So it's crazy to think of again that circle. And then like when I asked you for some photos and Nancy was sending me old photos, again, I'm looking in the background, I see Bonnie on stage and I see the banner Northeast Classic. So it is really a really interesting origin story for both of us that then led us to this same spot. And besides all that, we do have to talk about the idea that outside of the coaching, outside of competing, you were a professional, right?
I was a,
Yes.
a WNBF pro bodybuilder
Yes. So,
from,
so
yeah,
I don't want to leave that out. And then in terms of the coaching and stuff like that, you have some world titles under your belt too, right? Like you have it was Lori, right? Bodybuilding, MB, right?
yep,
I don't
Mary
know.
Beth.
Was Maze in there too?
Robin Mays?
Yeah. Was she in there?
Robin May, yeah, technically Robin Mays. I know I had a lot of oldies.
Yeah, so there is that history of success. There is that history of, you making your way up and earning that pro card and being in the industry for that long. You bring in and introduce a very, very large amount of people to the sport. And once they make it out of that transformation thing and they go for, oh, I want more and more. And that's it becomes a circle of life. Not everyone is going to be good at bringing in people, and then even when they bring people in, bringing them to the top. And that's a testament to your work and your dedication over the years. And that's why I feel like this made sense. Once it was talked about ANBF and we were both going to get into the promoting game. You technically are in the promoting game already. So that's one of the things I want to focus on now is you technically already you have a leg up on me. You technically already are a promoter. You didn't have the sanction, but you were holding your own events for the fitness asylum. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that went, and then talk a little bit about how you feel about the decision to slap a sanction on it and move it over to the ANBF.
Yeah. Little backstory though, the Northeast Classic that you went to in 2013 is the only one I've never been to because I was pregnant AF and it was hot AF. And
Oh, it
I'm
was
like,
hot. Oh, I remember.
you remember how hot it was?
Oh, it was
So
hot.
I was like pregnant with twins, and I'm like, I am not this. It's the only one I've never been to because I not only have competed in the Northeast Classic, I have emceed it, I have judged it, I have watched it, I've had hundreds of clients go through it, and it's the only
Yeah.
one that I was never
I
at.
met a lot of other characters that day. It's the first time I saw Bill Murphy. First time I saw Rolando. I was like, what is going on over here? I was like, that's Rolando. I met a lot of interesting people that
That
day.
we're all still friends with. That's
Yeah.
also the crazy thing too. And I tell my own competitors, like, listen, the people that, and not a lot of them, but the people that did beat me when they did, and I hated their guts, I'm friends with them now. Like that's the thing. Like I hated them. I wanted to get them. I didn't think it was fair. It's just funny. It's just a funny small industry. But we had, yes, I have experience as a promoter. I just want to just let everybody know that and in my true fashion, sometimes I just make decisions where I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I am going to do it. And watch me. We just thought, like, okay, how hard could it be to do a show? And that's probably a whole other podcast we could do. Like, how hard is it to run a show?
Yeah.
It has its challenges, but we we just wanted to have a venue, an event that really celebrated more of the transformation stuff. And, the transformation bikini has been really interesting because, as a team, we have 140 pro cards. I mean, we never, believe me, I didn't start a bikini team because I thought it would get here. I was a bodybuilder, so bikini's like a whole other, it's like speaking Mandarin or something like that. Um, but here's also the thing, doing this show that we have done like 4 or 5 times already, it did get to a point where I recognized it wasn't going to grow. It wasn't going to go further unless I was able to align with somebody bigger and a bigger, organization and actually get something that was sanctioned already and was an existing federation with, the systems and the technology and the broad appeal because again, it's only going to be the fitness asylum people. That's not a way to grow. That's actually going to become probably smaller and smaller and smaller over time. And I was not going to grow. I was not going to learn anything new. I was not going to get, more inputs from like-minded people. And so when this all started to kind of come about, like, hey, I know you've promoted a show. I know you have a team. I know you're, really into, natural bodybuilding and everything that stands for. And you have an experience with, not just the bodybuilding or bikini, but all of the different categories and all the like, would you want to do this under the umbrella of the ANBF? I'm like, of course I would. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? That's like a huge, it will elevate everybody. Like everybody wins with how we're coming together and bringing these shows to that next level. So um I can't imagine anything bigger for my own clients, for everybody I know in the industry, for people who probably thought they were retiring
Yeah.
and now they want to come back because they're excited again.
Yeah. And then the main thing is, I think the hurdle is, which I don't think it's a big hurdle to clear. It's just the idea that the show, which is the Spring Mania, all right, which originally started off as the Northeast Classic Novice. And Nancy with again, a lot of your people was, shooting numbers north of 90. And then it was like, oh, well, we might as well make this into its own event. You can't call it the novice. That's what birthed the Spring Mania. So it's a perfect fit for that show to come over, to you. That basically, out of necessity, was created for you and others, obviously. But you were a big populator of that show. So for you to take that, it was common sense. And I know Nancy's very excited and happy about that. But the main thing is, people need to know that the Spring Mania is not just a fit. It's not a closed loop. It's open to all the teams. It's open to all the competitors. You got an ANBF membership. you can go to Spring Mania, and that's, I got people, personally for me, Team SUF, and they're doing, Spring Mania into Northeast Classic. It is business as usual without being business as usual, and that I think is just the main thing we want for you, and that is it's not no it's no longer that closed loop. So are you ready to bring in those teams? Is there a Spring Mania? Is Team SUF? Is Team Rise? Is Best Fit Body? Is Rare Breed? Or is anyone else out there? Are they welcome at Spring Mania?
Oh, absolutely. You and I have a lot of conversations where, and even just this conversation about what a small world it is. And anybody that I've ever worked with, even if they're with another team, we're still friendly. Like we're still good. Like I get it. Like it is, it's a big family. And I want to see my buddy Mike Chula, and I want to see Kara, and I want to see coaches that I know have the best competitors out there. I
And
want
Rolando, we
people.
want to see Rolando.
Rolando, he says he's very particular though about his
Yeah.
clients. So I
Yes.
don't know how many he'll bring. But yes, Rolando, right. I competed with Rolando. Like that's how long we go back. Like all of these people, um, I admire. I recognize, I know personally how hard it can be to like make everybody happy and, try to like get everybody going. And, being a full-time coach is commendable. And I want bring it, bring everybody to the Spring Mania. And it is interesting, even though we had our own event over the last couple of years, we went to the Spring Mania. We went to the Northeast Classic. We weren't just trying to be on,
Yeah.
an island by ourselves. I always pushed, hey, you know what? This is just the beginning. Like you starting, yeah, go to Spring Mania, go
But
to the
this
Northeast Classic.
consolidation could help though.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest, right? For me, for you, for competitors, for other coaches, if we just make Spring Mania and the Northeast Classic the two biggest shows as they were, then people are going to they're going to be excited. Just
Yeah.
like I was excited in 2005 to go to this magical, mythical place, the Northeast Classic, where it was going to be like it was huge and amazing, and it still is.
Or you could be like me. I was dreading going to Massachusetts, and now I've inadvertently become like the adopted child of Massachusetts.
Now
So
you're, yeah, now you're
either
you're
way,
NEC royalty.
yeah, either way, it does work out. So it is open to other people as long as you have an ANBF membership. It is open to all those teams. We want those people there. There's now in terms of conflict, just like I am handling Northeast Classic, there's not going to be, coaches on the judging, same thing. Like,
Oh, right. Yeah, we've never, even in our own show, like having our own, I never had any coaches
that's right. You guys
be
outsiders.
judges.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
some of like Jess Hyatt was a judge. Like, yep,
Old, yes,
yep,
yes, correct. Clients that we've had in the past, people who are pros, people
yeah,
who already have, gone through any test judging,
yep,
like, because Nancy was always really big on getting a lot of people into that loop of test judging. Let's get you sitting on a panel. Let's, see what kind of scores you come up with. Let's make sure you understand the categories and you understand the criteria. And also, I'm a huge fan, as are you, I think, that our shows don't just have the same judges all the time, that
yeah,
you want to bring in
yep,
the most qualified people, but not like I don't think anybody, because we'll have a lot of people who will do the Spring Mania and Northeast Classic. They're not going to want to stand in front of the exact
exact
same
same
panel.
person. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is good. So basically, the pain points are not there. It's
No.
open to other people. It is open to other teams. You don't have to worry about any of the funny business that people may see in other places. We're making sure that that's addressed. It's a fair shake. It's a great show. And on top of that, we also have the idea that your show in two divisions will be an advanced pro qualifier, which is bikini and masters bikini. So the advanced pro qualifier enables you to give out multiple cards, and it's up to you. It's promoted discretion, how you want to do that. Some people just have, top two in the overall, whatever, but there will be two cards given out for open bikini and masters bikini. So that's a good thing there. You go there, you get going, you try to earn that card. There's more opportunity now there in those two divisions. If you fall short and you want to keep going, you go to the classic. If you do turn pro, go to the classic because that's where we'll have those pro categories for you. So they work well together. We talked again about where Spring Mania came from, why it makes sense that you're the promoter of that. That whole Nancy Andrews lineage started with the classic novice, elevated into the Spring Mania. So that we talked about. In terms of where me and you started, that was always interesting. I was always in Massachusetts, and I knew of you. We never spoke. We kind of just walked by each other in the hallway. I was very good at awkward situations like that. Like I can be in an elevator with someone and totally act like someone's not there. I thrive in situations like that. And I don't even think that there was anything between us officially. It just would have been this, that, this, and that. And we never talked. And I remember someone saying, like, oh, well, you don't talk to Bonnie. I just remember being like, you know what? Fuck Bonnie. Like, I'm, no, I'm not, no. And then I started to dig a little deeper and I talked to Nancy a little more. And then I remember we started talking and I was like, wow, like what a wasted couple of years of just like either not talking or um just it just seemed like wasted time. The more we talked, the more I realized we had a lot in common. We had a lot to bring to the table. We are different, but we have a lot of similarities. But again, it's all part of that origin story where you started, where I started, and then where we ended up.
Well, I was thinking about it because right, everybody knows who Ryan is. He's the guy. He's got the outfit on. He's got his whole setup. He's got all the stuff. Like he's, got the technology. And there were just like, oh, my dogs are going crazy, of course. There was the show, and it was the Northeast Classic, I believe, that was at the vocational high school in Worcester.
What's
And
the Volk? Yep.
I remember walking down into the auditorium because I didn't know I'd never been to this school before. I had no
Yeah.
idea. And I remember I'm walking down towards the judging table because I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I'm going. And you're standing in front of me, and the back of your shirt says, I didn't come here to talk to anyone, I think was the
Yeah.
shirt,
Didn't come here to
right?
talk. Yep.
I didn't come here to talk. And I'm like, okay, read the shirt. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to tap this nice gentleman on the shoulder. I was like, tap, tap. And I remember you kind of just turned around and you were like, oh, we're having a conversation. It was awkward, but not. It was kind of like, oh, we're fine. So here it is. We're finally going to like acknowledge that each other exists because we just are like moving like by each other, but never talk. And I was just like, oh, do you know where I don't know what I said. Do you know where the competitor, do you know where anybody is? Do you know where I go? I have no idea. And you were just like, yeah, go here, go there. I'm like, okay, ice has been broken. Attention, attention. I've spoken to Ryan. And that, there were like little, obviously little bits and pieces. But I remember very distinctly, I touched the man's shoulder who said he was not here to talk. I did
Yeah.
it. I lived to tell about it. It was fine.
And then after that, it just we did become close, and you helped me get CCN and off the ground and the support there, and yeah, I do appreciate all of that. That's why when I stumbled into this mess that I'm in, that I'm having a good time doing it. But my main thing was, Bonnie, do you want to get on board, and can we do this, and can we work together? And I think I have a path for us. Nancy's going to provide us with some opportunities, and it just really did. It really did make sense. Nancy feels confident with her decision with picking us. It's a lot to live up to. Obviously, there are those pressures, but we know what we have to do. We know the work that we have to do to make this happen. So, if you had one last thing to say to the audience, anyone listening, any potential competitor, anyone on the fence, oh, should I do Spring Mania? What is that call to action? What do you have to say to everyone to get them to go to your event?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Here's the deal. If you go to Spring Mania, you will then obviously want to go to the Northeast Classic. As Ryan said, these shows are inexplicably linked. They are basically just, even if you don't think that you're necessarily ready, the Northeast Classic, you will be ready for that show. But Spring Mania and the Northeast Classic in many ways is one show, and you will be part of history, as crazy as that sounds. But you can hear, everything that we have said. The Northeast Classic, um, is legendary in natural bodybuilding events. And the Spring Mania was born of necessity, just having so many people in New England and even people who travel from all over the United States to compete in these shows that have been established by the number one promoter and four-time most winningest female bodybuilder in natural bodybuilding history. You are not only just being, for the legend of it all and part of ANBF history, because this will be the first year that the ANBF has these shows, you're going to be doing something for yourself. I will tell you, bodybuilding, in my case, or bikini or figure or femme fit body, it will change your life. You will make friends. You will take your mind and body to a place it's never been, and you will be on a trajectory that I don't even think you could imagine. And I'm sure Ryan has a list. I have a list. All of the coaches will put you in touch with people who've been, in our circle, people who have competed, people who have trained to compete. It is the one thing that has changed my life most.
Yep.
And I have done all the things. So I really am excited to be heading up the Spring Mania. It is an honor. I think maybe I'll have a shirt that says, I know Nancy Andrews. Maybe that will help, so people understand that I'm taking it very seriously. And there is a lot to live up to. Like, this isn't just me putting together my own show. This is me opening the doors and being like the host. I am opening the doors to every single competitor, even if you've never competed before or you're from another organization, another federation, you're doing, this is an opportunity for you all to see what it could be for you. Like, all of the potential of having the advanced qualifier, the advanced pro qualifier, getting an award at one of these shows is going to change your life. And just saying that you came, you did your best, you made the friends, you will be doing the fall. I'm telling you, it's like it is the most addictive thing because it's something only you can do for you. So it is worth it. I've never had one person ever regret doing something so extraordinary. So I hope you come to the Spring Mania. And when you do, we're going to assume that you're also going to Northeast Classic. It's like, can't have one without the other. And so I'm super excited. I never imagined being here, by the way, never once, never in a million years did I ever think that Nancy Andrews, who I met 20 years ago, who was the number one promoter in New England, would ever be like, A, my friend, or B, turn around and be like, you know what? I'm passing the torch to someone who I think is the most qualified to take this particular show. So I might seem really like quiet or low key, or you have no idea what I'm thinking, but inside I'm like a giddy school kid who's like, oh my God, I won the lottery. So there's that.
So basically now it's going to be game time. So, all right. So we are working, we're going to get you up a promotion website soon. So once that is live, we'll make an announcement for that. We'll get that registration and all that stuff done. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions relating to the Spring Mania or anything like that, how can people reach you?
I am very available. You could find me on Facebook, Bonnie Lefrak. You can find me on Instagram, Bonnie_Lefrak. You can email me, Bonnie@BonnieLefrak.com or Bonnie@fitness-asylum.com. I'm the only Bonnie Lefrak in the whole wide world, so you'll find me pretty easily. And I'm happy to answer any of your specific questions about, the show, categories, travel, even like where to stay and all, when we're getting all of those details worked out, by the way, so that the first edition of the poster might not be the last edition of the poster. It's super exciting to see all of the details come together because we want to make sure that you have an amazing experience and we cover all the details, all the things that you're going to need.
All right. So, and then you'll also be running I'm Bijik. So we got Bijik Productions. You are Stage Ready Promotions, right?
Stage ready promotions because we make sure we're stage ready and you're stage ready.
There we go. So we'll keep everyone updated on all that stuff. It's been great talking to you, and yeah, it's game time.
Thank you.